Alright guys, now let's solve for a missing side. In this triangle, I'm going to go with triangle L, M, N, and let's say that this side is 8, this side is 6 units, whatever, and this one is X. And the goal is to solve for this missing side. The first thing that I need to do, and I forgot to put my right angle here, the first thing that I need to do is identify the hypotenuse. Okay, so that's the first thing that you always do, is identify the hypotenuse. And so here we have the hypotenuse is the side that is opposite the right angle. So my hypotenuse, so I've got, remember the Pythagorean Theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, right? This is what you're thinking about, right? You wouldn't necessarily have to write this down every single time, but that's what you're thinking about. So you think, okay, well the C is the hypotenuse, so in this case the C is X. The A and the B are the two legs, and so you have to put them in exactly how they are here, A and B, and it doesn't matter which one is which. I'm going to go 8 squared and 6 squared. Okay, so 8 squared plus 6 squared equals X squared. So now we can solve this. And so I'm going to solve this by starting here. Let's see, that's 64. 8 squared is 64. What's 6 squared? 36 equals X squared. 64 plus 36 is, can you do that in your head? That's right, it's 100. Alright, now to get rid of this squared, this X squared equals 100. Something squared equals 100. Now this is one that I can do in my head because I know what you square to get 100. Something times itself equals 100. And so I would go, I would know, oh, this is going to be X equals 10. But if you're like, I just don't know what to do, well, when you get to this step and you say, how do I get rid of the squared? The opposite of squaring something is taking its square root. So you could take the square root of both sides. The square root of X squared would just be this X, and then you could grab your calculator and do the square root of 100. Square root of 100 on your calculator is 10. Okay, so this is how we're going to take care of finding a missing side, at least when it's the hypotenuse, right? All right, so in this triangle, let's say this is triangle ABC. And here's my right angle. Let's say this time this is my X. Let's say this is 5, and let's say this is 9. Okay, so there's going to be two new things in here that you haven't seen yet, and so that's okay. We'll make our way through it. Start off the same way. Which one of these three is the hypotenuse? Okay, so remember, you're thinking a squared plus b squared equals c squared, right? That's what your little thought bubble is thinking about right here, right? Okay, so you know the c is the hypotenuse, so you got to figure out what's the hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is opposite the right angle. So here's my right angle, right? So this is the hypotenuse. So that's what's going to go here. So you may be realizing, if you weren't paying close enough attention last time, you may have thought that the X goes over here. The missing part goes over here. No, it's the hypotenuse that always goes over here. Now these two are the two legs. We've got one of them is X and the other one is 5, and it doesn't matter which one goes where. I'm just going to put this one first and this one second. Wouldn't make any difference. But now we need to solve this. So let's do our squareds first. Okay. Now the X squared, I can't really do anything with that yet. 5 squared is 25. 9 squared is 81. Okay. And then I'm going to subtract 25 from both sides. So I'm going to get on this side X squared. This is gone. 81 minus 25, and I'm actually going to plug it in my calculator so I don't make a mistake here. 56. Okay, and this one I cannot do in my head. So I'm going to have to think, okay, well here, the square root of X squared, square root of 56, square root of X squared is X. Square root of 56, now it depends on how your teacher is asking you to do this. Let's say you saw up in the directions and you didn't know what it meant until just now. Let's say you saw up in the directions round to the nearest tenth if necessary. Okay, and you're like, oh, I remember seeing something about this. So in a problem like this, there isn't a number that times itself equals 56, so you have to use your calculator. And so I'm going to do that on my calculator. The square root of 56 equals, it's a big long decimal. I'm rounding it to the nearest tenth, so I'm going to round it off. It's going to end up just being 7.5. And so that's the answer to this one. So if it doesn't come out evenly, there's other things we can do with these square root symbols, these radicals, but for right now, let's say the directions say round to the nearest tenth.